Now why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most despicable, irredeemable, or delightfully evil cinematic antagonists. We'll only be looking at live action films here, because, honestly, this list was hard enough to rank as it is. Also, with us discussing bad guys and their various devious deeds, a spoiler alert is warranted.
Hooray, Doctor, hooray, and a wise decision that is.
Number 20, Prince Humperdinck, the Princess Bride.
I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped.
Love is hard, especially when your beloved is hung up on their ex. But seriously, it's like Prince Humperdinck is trying to make Princess Buttercup hate him.
Please consider me as an alternative to suicide.
To summarise, he forces her to marry him in exchange for Wesley's safety, but then tortures the man in black instead and later lies about searching for him. Of course, he didn't kill Wesley like the deplorable Count Rugen did to Inigo Montoya's father, but Wesley's time in the pit of despair is arguably worse. What's more, Humperdinck doesn't even have the courage to face the consequences of his actions. He grovels on the ground rather than dueling Wesley, a fitting end for a horrible man.
Whatever happens to us, I want him to live a long life alone with his cowardice.
Number 19, Shooter McGavin, Happy Gilmore. Scoring a hole-in-one in the jerk department, Shooter McGavin is a stuck-up, insecure man-child who throws a temper tantrum anytime he loses.
Damn you people, this is golf! Not a rock concert!
Naturally, he doesn't appreciate Happy Gilmore's, well, happier approach to golf. So, McGavin proceeds to sabotage his nemesis any way he can, hiring hecklers, using Grandma Gilmore's foreclosing house as collateral, and even running him over with a bloody car.
Volkswagen!
And all because of a game of golf. The sheer pettiness behind McGavin's every move makes it all the sweeter when he finally gets his comeuppance on the green. A game-winning putt has never been so satisfying.
Happy Gilmore wins the gold jacket!
Number 18, Mr. Potter, It's a Wonderful Life. This crotchety old man has almost every business in Bedford Falls in his pocket. Emphasis on almost.
George, I am going all out to help in this crisis.
George Bailey, honourable to the end, refuses to sell out, and boy does that make Mr. Potter angry. He only has eyes on dollar signs, and the so-called slums the Baileys loan to don't fit that mould.
Have you put any real pressure on these people of yours to pay those mortgages?
So, what does he do? Make George's life as difficult as possible, that's what. It's more than demeaning meetings and shady deals though. Potter goes as far as destroying George's own honeymoon by instigating a maliciously timed stock buyout. Not even the Christmas spirit is enough to forgive Mr. Potter for being the perennial Scrooge of Bedford Falls.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter! Happy New Year to you! In jail!
Number 17, The High Evolutionary, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I made you! How did you know?
It takes a certain kind of sick person to experiment on an adorable baby raccoon. Although, calling the High Evolutionary a person in the first place is already a stretch. The things he put Rocket through are so degrading we can't even put them into words.
You are an abomination! Nothing more than a step on my path!
And the worst part is Rocket wasn't the only one. The High Evolutionary had a whole prison of experimental pets he treated like dirt. Then, as if that's not bad enough, he later openly mocked Rocket for daring to care about his cellmates. Yep, this guy totally deserved what was coming to him.
Alright, P13, you win the crying contest. Now back in the cage.
Number 16, The Wicked Witch of the West, The Wizard of Oz.
Well, my little pretty, I can cause accidents too.
Green with envy and evil, this witch takes the wicked part of her name extremely seriously, and she makes that clear as early as her very first scene. After Dorothy's abrupt landing in Oz flattens the witch's sister, the fiend lays all the blame on the Kansan girl, and her little dog too.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too.
Partly for revenge and partly for a pair of ruby slippers, the wicked foe hunts Dorothy down with utter abandon. Monkeys, spells, insults and more, the Wicked Witch of the West has absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever, and if you take it from us, that's part of the charm. After all, Margaret Hamilton's evil cackle is legendary for a reason. Number 15, Lil Z, City of God.
Sabe o que sou, moleque? Sou Zé Pequeno, rapá.
Zé Pequeno.
As a kid, Lil Dice stole, lied, and yes, even killed for a few precious dollar bills. 10 years later, his exploits become so well known, he had to shed his name entirely. From then on, he was Lil Z, a merciless drug lord who ruled the Brazilian downtown with an iron fist and a steel gun.
Vai embora e não vai receber o dinheiro, as armas vão ficar aqui.
With no one to question his tyrannical rule, Lil Z became judge, jury and executioner, no matter if they were his former friends or not. Then, just when you think Z can't sink any lower, he finds a way. He may be a protagonist, but Lil Z is as far apart from a hero as you can get. Number 14. John Doe 7.
You're looking for me.
All things considered, a handful of victims doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not John Doe's body count that's so chilling, it's the how behind them. Namely, that he committed unspeakably horrific murders, each representing one of the 7 deadly sins. Oh, and his last victim, it's none other than Mills, a detective on the case who's forced to become the epitome of wrath.
Oh, God! Oh, God!
John Doe's disturbing methods are only surpassed by his inherent mystique. We don't even know his real name. The only thing we can say for sure is that John Doe has way more than just 7 sins. Number 13. Colonel Nathan Jessup, A Few Good Men.
Take caution in your tone, Commander.
Manipulation, perjury, gross misuse of power. Yeah, it may be called a code red, but there's no grey area in this crime scene. When a lagging Marine threatens his unit's performance, Colonel Nathan Jessup orders a swift and violent wake-up call.
I felt his life might be in danger once word of the letter got out.
Grave danger?
Is there another kind?
Sadly, the victim never ends up waking up at all. Rather than accepting his role in the scandal, Jessup pins the blame on 2 of his recruits, even lying on the stand about it. His complete lack of remorse is appalling, especially since he was more than willing to ruin 2 other lives to save his own skin. If anyone can't handle the truth around here, it's Jessup himself.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Number 12. The Armitage Family, Get Out.
That's the basement. We had to seal it up. Some black mold down there.
Meeting the in-laws is hard enough, even when they aren't sadistic body-swapping elitists. But that's what makes the Armitage family one of the most disturbing in horror history.
We are the gods, trapped in cocoons.
Put aside the constant microaggressions and underhanded comments, when these guys get under your skin, they do it literally. That's right, the Armitages steal the bodies of unsuspecting black people. The metaphor there is as obvious as you can get.
Oh, not bad. Hey, Nielsen?
Even worse, this isn't a one-off occurrence. As Rose proves time and time again, this is basically the family business, one that's been proudly owned and operated for way too long.
Black is in fashion.
Number 11. Denor II, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Rule of Gondor is mine!
Parents always say they can't pick a favourite kid. Denor bucks that trend. He essentially worships his eldest son, which leaves little love for his youngest, Faramir. He even sends the book-smart kid on a hopeless mission for no other reason than to get him out of the picture.
Faramir would have remembered his father's need.
Afterwards, Denor's absolute power over Gondor ends up corrupting him absolutely. Then again, the overconfident steward never needed any help in the madness department anyway. Vile to the end, Denor tries to go out in a somewhat literal blaze of glory, but all it does is underscore how obsessed he is with his own pride. Against this guy, Sauron is positively tame in comparison. Number 10, the Tannen Family, Back to the Future franchise.
Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think McFly, think.
Past or future, old or young, at school or at work, you should always cross the street when you see a Tannen coming your way. Using petty insults and the occasional stint of time travel, they've been a thorn in our hero's side for generations. All Tannens are built the same: selfish, egotistical, and willing to do anything to get what they want, even if it means pulling out a gun. While each generation of Tannen is amusingly played by the same actor, they're each uniquely awful in their own special ways. Although, for our money, Biff is the biggest butthead of them all.
So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Number 9. Imortant Joe, Mad Max Fury Road. This villain goes by many names: Colonel Joe Moore, Imortant Joe, sadistic cult leader. I mean, take your pick, Joe's coming for you either way.
By my hand, you will rise from the ashes!
He controls the gang's water supply, and as a result, he's basically a god amongst men. But with one look at his terrifying mask, it's obvious that Imortant Joe won't be using the power for good. In his attempts to create the perfect offspring, he impregnates just about any woman he can get his hands on, no matter if they consent or not. If our options are living with him or braving the apocalyptic wasteland, we'd take the sand dunes every single time. Number 8. Agent Smith, The Matrix.
I must get out of here. I must get free.
When people say artificial intelligence is dangerous, they're talking about Agent Smith. He's motivated by a singular goal, to protect the Matrix from threats. For example, this bloke, Neo. But, in a twist of fate, Neo wins their first fight, freeing Smith from his programming and giving him a chance at redemption. And how does he decide to spend his new lease on life? With more murder, of course. His unstoppable army of clones decide the world would be better off without any kind of sentient life at all. You can't blame Smith too much though. Clearly, being a menace to society is just in his blood, or rather, his code.
Never send a human to do a machine's job.
Number 7. Mrs. Carmody, The Mist.
It's death.
At a certain point, it's hard to decide which is scarier, being trapped outside with man-eating monsters or spending the rest of your days with Mrs. Carmody. The religious zealot manipulates her way into something of a messiah to the survivors, and she uses her power to exile anyone who threatens her rule, children included.
You don't mock me. That's not what I was doing.
She is utterly reprehensible, especially since she has the gall to turn around and start criticizing everyone else's sins. Though, to be fair, that's just how Stephen King rolls.
Open your eyes. Let the scales fall away. This has all been written.
From Margaret White's unorthodox parenting to Annie Wilkes' obsessive hobbies, the horror extraordinaire really knows how to make you hate a character. Carmody, most of all.
Yes, they'll come back for all of us, just like this good lady said. Do you want that to happen, people? No!
Number 6. Emperor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, Star Wars franchise.
Young fool. Only now, at the end, do you understand?
With a name like that, it really shouldn't come as a shock that Darth Sidious is just plain evil. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's just no way he can come back from executing Order 66, which nearly wiped out the Jedi altogether, although something tells us Sidious doesn't want to be redeemed anyway. After all, he willingly infiltrated the Jedi Order just to make his eventual betrayal sting even more.
Now they will elect a new Chancellor. A strong Chancellor. One who will not let our tragedy continue.
Oh, and don't even get us started on all the emotional duress he put on young Anakin. No matter which corner of the galaxy you look, every shed of evil leads back to Darth Sidious.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus.
Number 5. Captain Vidal, Pan's Labyrinth.
¿Os habéis olvidado esto? ¿Y el billete de lotería? ¿Por qué no bajáis a por él?
Sociopath is too nice of a word for someone like Captain Vidal. Barbaric monster is probably much more fitting. He mercilessly disposes of anyone he even suspects of being a rebel, and their deaths aren't quick either, with Vidal opting for all things cruel and unusual. And to top it off, he's Ophelia's new stepfather. It would have been better for her if he was neglectful, but instead, Vidal goes out of his way to torment the 10-year-old in every vile way imaginable.
Es la otra mano, Ophelia.
Eventually, he even puts her in the ground, permanently. Vidal's horrific actions will leave you seeing red, but at the very least, he gets what's coming to him. Number 4. Commodus, Gladiator. There is no honour in this Colosseum, at least not while Commodus is in charge. If you want proof, just remember that Commodus' own father deemed him unfit to rule. Then, to prove him wrong, Commodus murdered him in cold blood and took the throne by force. All things considered, that's a pretty good indicator of how he rules, with fear, violence, and a whole lot of unearned hubris.
How dare you show your back to me? Slave! Will remove your helmet and tell me your name.
It's ironic, since the power-hungry crybaby can't even win a rigged fight. When Commodus finally steps into the ring, he sabotages Maximus with an underhanded strike, and still ends up on the wrong side of history. But believe us, no one's shedding tears for Commodus. Number 3. Nurse Ratchet, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I heard your question, Mr. Cheswick.
and I will answer your question as soon as you've calmed down.
Don't be fooled, this isn't a mental institution, it's a prison, and the warden goes by the name of Nurse Ratchet. She's a callous, unforgiving woman who relishes asserting dominance over her patients.
The chief voted. Now, will you please turn the television set on?
Mr. McMurphy, the meeting was adjourned and the vote was closed.
If they dare question her authority, Ratchet lets them know who's boss by withholding their food, toiletries, entertainment, and even medication. Her disgraceful treatment of others is irredeemable no matter how you look at it, let alone the fact that these people are at a mental health facility. In fact, it gets so bad, one patient even decides to end it all. After witnessing something like that, there's no question why Nurse Ratchet is considered one of cinema's finest villains.
Gentlemen, the meeting is adjourned.
Number 2, Monsieur Calvin Candy, Django Unchained.
And what do you consider ridiculous?
For running a place called Candyland, Calvin J. Candy is anything but sweet. Not only does he enslave black people and force them to perform back-breaking labour, but he also makes the men fight for his own twisted enjoyment. Oh, and he sells tickets to those fights too, just in case Candy wasn't repugnant enough already.
Well, arrivederci, Luigi. Come on up now, boy. Get yourself a rest. You did a fine job, a real fine job.
And don't think female slaves get a pass. They're spared the violence, but are used in other more intimate ways. Quentin Tarantino is known for writing unhinged antagonists. Kill Bill didn't get its name for nothing, but even against all that, Calvin Candy is just on another level.
Hey! Lay your palm flat on that tabletop!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Dolores Umbridge, Harry Potter franchise.
Good morning, children.
Whoever let this woman around children needs to reevaluate their priorities ASAP. Umbridge is supposedly a high-ranking official from the Ministry of Magic, but you wouldn't be able to tell based on her teaching methods, which include everything from public humiliation to genuine corporal punishment. And Harry still has the scars to prove it.
Things at Hogwarts are far worse than I feared. Cornelius will want to take immediate action.
It's not like the wizarding world needed more insidious villains either. Bellatrix Lestrange, anyone? Or how about Voldemort, a wizard so evil most people don't even say his name aloud? Honestly, it's kind of impressive that Harry Potter leaves you hating a school headmaster more than a so-called Dark Lord. Umbridge really is that bad.
You know, deep down, you deserve to be punished.
And that's our list. What villain do you love to hate? Let us know in the comments below.
You cursed rat! Look what you've done! I'm melting! Melting!
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.